I wanted to tell you what's going to happen. So we're going to have about 20 minutes of discussion with them about some of their points of view, best practices, maybe even some cautionary tales regarding how to grow a business globally, specifically as it relates to how you leverage marketing and PR. Hopefully you'll get some real practical advice and resources and best practices out of this discussion that you can apply to your own experiences. By way of introduction, I'm Scott Friedman, and I'm with Text 100, which is a global PR firm. We've got 30 offices worldwide. We ourselves are only 500 people, so small, mid-sized business that has grown organically around the world. So we have our own personal experience in terms of that as well. My experience is 23 years as a journalist before coming to the dark side and working as a PR professional. The last 8 years here at Text 100. Our panelists, Ted Martin on the far left for you. Ted, his background is head of operations at Overstock.com, where he helped to grow the business from 70 million to over 800 million, and quite the global business in the process. He also has experience with Gear.com, a startup that focused on sporting goods, closeout, e-commerce. Eventually, I believe, was bought by Overstock. Also, through that experience, helped to grow that business in a global way. And he's currently CEO and founder of Cross Commerce Media, a company that's pioneering measurement in terms of how customer behavior can be measured across multiple platforms and multiple media at the same time. So welcome, Ted. Heidi Messer, in the middle, was co-founder of Linkshare Corporation, a company that focused on performance-based online marketing solutions. Grew that company globally as well, so hopefully you hear a little bit about some of her personal experience in making that company so successful globally, especially in Japan, where I believe it was eventually bought out by a Japanese firm. She's widely quoted throughout the media, broadcast, print, and otherwise, regarding her expertise in online marketing. So we'll draw on some of that experience in this panel as well. And she's currently chairwoman of Cross Commerce Media as well. And our final panelist is Emily Maltby, who's a small business reporter at the Wall Street Journal. Her primary focus, writing for the Money Hunt column, which is a weekly column, but through that experience, as well as previous experience at CNN, as well as Fortune Small Business Magazine, Emily has written extensively on small business issues and quite a lot on small business issues related to globalization. So very happy to have these guys here today. And Ted, I just want to open up with you and get you to talk a little bit about where do you start for the people in the audience, even thinking about a global marketing and PR strategy as they're attempting to globalize their business is probably a daunting thought. So how do you even start to address the challenges? What are the things that you really need to think through in terms of deciding what the right mix is when it comes to marketing?
So from my experience, and I'm speaking specifically about Gear.com and Overstock because that's probably the most relevant as it relates to thinking through how you want to develop your strategy from a marketing point of view. We were very focused on the measurement side of it, and that's part why I'm doing what I'm doing now. In that, especially when you're starting out and your business is young and you don't have as many resources as you would like, being able to measure becomes hugely valuable. At Overstock, we were in a lot of ways pioneering different industries. We were one of the early advertisers in display advertising. We were working with AOL and Yahoo and MSN before any of the major brands understood the value of what internet display advertising could be, which meant we understood the power and how effective it could be because we measured its success based on the revenue it was driving for us. And then branded advertisers figured out that it was a good place to start showing their message, and it became more expensive, and we then shifted to affiliate marketing, and Linkshare was actually the partner that helped us understand the value that could drive. And then we were very early into search. And the reason we focused on these channels, and you'll notice that almost all of them are digital channels, is because we could measure very specifically the effect it was having on our revenue. And as soon as a channel became less effective or didn't meet the metrics that we wanted to achieve, we could shift our marketing dollars to other places. And Overstock succeeded in part because we were very focused, maniacally focused on that measurement and how effective it was in helping drive revenue and bring customers to us. In 2000 and 2001, there was a big bust in the internet world, and lots of companies went out of business. Overstock survived in part because we were very focused on being able to measure the effectiveness of that messaging.
You talked about affiliate marketing a little bit. I want to get into that. If we can delve into some of the specific channels that were used in terms of driving marketing and PR. Heidi, you're probably better suited to talk about the benefit of affiliate marketing. And again, where do you start? How do you ferret out the right affiliates? How do you get them to find you, which is often the case? What's your experience been in that?
And I'll just go back to your original question too, which is thinking about going global, if that would be
Please.
helpful. So by way of background, Linkshare, when I was there, we actually expanded into Japan, Canada. Right after we sold, we entered into the European market, and we were actually bought by a Japanese company. So I feel like I can talk I can speak closely about my experience with going global and sort of the pitfalls, and hopefully share some experiences that will not be replicated by everyone here, as well as some that will, because then eventually the story has a happy ending, and being bought by a foreign company is an incredible experience. And my opinion is that there's no company in America that has a choice today of whether to go global or not. You have to. I mean, there's just no option in terms of where the market growth is, in terms of how wealth is being distributed across the globe, and in terms of your ability to really expand your business, you have to do it. So then the question becomes, going global sounds like, like going to the store, right? Going global is enormous. You have the entire world to choose from, and different regions and different markets. And so when we looked at Linkshare, a lot of people said, oh, you're going to go into Europe next. That's going to be your first market. And we actually spent about 6 months analyzing the European market, and eventually came to the conclusion that we needed to be in the European market, but if we were going to dip our toe in the water, it probably was easier to go to a market that was unilinguistic, unicultural, and that's where we ended up narrowing it down to Brazil and Japan, right? Because they both had lots of people who spoke one language, and we could focus our efforts on that. And to highlight something that Rhonda spoke about in her speech this morning, while we did all that research on paper, I think the thing that really clinched it was actually going to Japan and spending time there. And I'll give you one anecdotal story. So my business partner is my brother, and he got so immersed in the culture, he started reading these books on Japanese proverbs, because he found that in Japan, a lot of times the way you communicate challenges was through proverbs, and then he started speaking in them. So we would be doing technology installations, and we'd be having trouble with our technology, and things would be crashing, and he'd look at me and say, Heidi, even monkeys fall from trees. And I was like, are you kidding me? Fix it. So I would say that, for anyone who's thinking about going global, the first step is really immersing yourself in, doing some, academic research and looking and saying, okay, where are my products going to be most accepted? But then really immersing yourself in the culture there, and actually going and spending time with people from that culture and getting a sense so that you don't make kind of obvious cultural mistakes. I'm happy in the Q&A period to talk about the specifics of affiliate marketing, which was Linkshare's business, because it actually is a very effective tactic, and one that's very, very cost effective, as Tad mentioned, in terms of getting your message out there through business partners in a performance-based way.